I'm Kate Van Orden. I'm a professor in the Department of Music, and I'm here to talk about the program that Jordi Savall is going to be giving at Cal Performances in March. It's based on Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. This is a book that was very popular in its own time. It's a sort of anti-chivalric romance about a knight-errant who goes off in search of all kinds of adventures, but really just makes a fool of himself the entire time. Printed in installments in 1605, it was an instant success. There were translations into French, German, and English. Don Quixote was a theatrical hit as well. We know that as early as 1614, already in Paris, a ballet de cour was based on the tale. So although it is a novel and doesn't have any music in it, it's a book that's inspired composers from the very start. Renaissance Europe was full of music, full of noise and sound. It was a very noisy place. Church bells rang for Mass. Beggars offered a few pennies to say a little song by a graveside. There were pilgrims that sang litanies and hymns as they went to the great regional churches. You also heard trumpets announcing the arrival of nobles and armies. Epic romances are full of interpolated song texts that are actually songs that the characters sang in the context of the novel itself and might have been sung as people read along. You can see here there's no music, but what we do have is stanzaic poetry. At this point in the story, a keeper of mules bursts into song, and he's got another song on the following page here. And these are just gratuitous opportunities for music making in the novel. What we really need to understand about books like the Don Quixote is that people used printed texts differently in the Renaissance than they do now. It wasn't really a time of silent reading so much as it was of people reading to each other, reading to people who couldn't read, even singing songs off sources like that. And so you have to think of all books as performance texts in some way. And that's what Jordi Savall really understands. They're all texts that are in action. They're all theatrical. These are not dead songs meant to be read in silence, but rather they cry out for performance. One of the sources that Jordi Savall uses for the program is a print by Diego Pisador of Music for Vihuela from 1552. And we're very lucky to have here in Berkeley in the music library a copy. It was dedicated to the King of Spain. It has his coat of arms. And it goes on to give in just 2 pages a little treatise on how to play the vihuela, how to learn it really quick. And it shows the fingerings and where to put your fingers on the neck of the instrument. The very first tune in the book is called Conde Claros, and this was a very, very popular song for singing poetry of all sorts that Don Quixote is playing off of. So what Jordi Savall has done is looked around in this very popular repertory that's very close to the oral culture of the Romance, found some of those tunes that people sang romances to, and used those for singing some of the song texts that you actually find in the Don Quixote novel. I think he's one of the great investigators of what music that never got written down sounded like.
Los gallos que